at the economy in some African countries, they are not growing too well, but there are a lot of populations. Can we use population to grow our economy? Is it possible that way?
Yes, that is very possible. I made mention of something earlier, and like I said, having the right population means two things. It means that economy will grow, and it means that there is labor. So one of the things that we need to focus on, you know, I do research, I've been a trainer, I've trained people in various skills that they can use for in their employability skills and entrepreneurship skills. And I realized that understanding the mindset of the youth matters. Not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. Some people still have to work for those entrepreneurs. So what we need to do, look into, is our population, understanding the mindset of the youth. What are those people? Because there's no way you can push people into entrepreneur and they will go into entrepreneurship. Some will still tell you that they love to earn salaries. So we need to first of all understand what kind of mindset they have. If they have that employability mindset, let's focus on them, how to nurture them to serve the labor. Because once we are serving the labor market for those ones, it means that those ones that are ready to focus on those entrepreneurship skills are going to be well equipped. It's not that, you know, something recently has been happening that I've been seeing, and people are just, when they hear that there is a skill training, they just rush into that training, not looking at what they themselves want. So one of the things is just making sure that we catch them young. Just we can look into other countries, how do they do this, and they start very young. You will be able to identify those ones that are going to go into the labor industry and those ones that are going to go into the entrepreneurship industry, and then bringing them up to serve the right purpose. And I'm sure it's going to increase our GDP.
But I know that the government has clamored for that recent times, and they encourage people to make sure that they choose one skill or the other, even from the secondary school level. So how do education in entrepreneur, how will it help the economy? Because in those days, when you want to go into anything, your parents want you to just read and be wearing the shirts, wearing the suits up and down. And nowadays, people are saying we want these soft skills that will bring in a lot of money. Do you think we need education that will maybe from the curriculum, maybe from the government enforcing it? We shouldn't just make it a word of mouth. Enforcement should follow. What's your take on that?
Yes, I believe that the government, they are trying their best. And then why I said so is because I'm an educationist, I do trainings, like I said, and I looked into the current curriculum. Though I was not so happy, some courses were made optional, but I looked into it. There was room for fishery. There is room for animal husbandry. There is room for other aspects. So I think that that's for secondary school. I think that the government has already put those things in place. But it now comes not for the government to work alone, but the parents and the guardian themselves. What are they doing to make sure that these people are looking into the right direction? You know, I was happy that you made mention of the government trying to work into it, and it is one of the aspects I work in the educational sector, which is called TVET, the Technical and Vocational Education and Training aspect. And one thing I want us to know, that it has come to stay, whether we like it or not, because the summary of that TVET is skill development. That's just the summary of it. And it has come to stay because the skill is now the new currency. If you don't have a skill and you want to work anywhere, nobody will employ you. Gone are those days when people look into certifications. They want to look, okay, can you do this job? Can you really focus on it? So I think what we just need to do is not just leave it to the government for them to work on it, but ourselves as a parent, ourselves as a guardian, what are we doing? I want to just quickly put this and then cut this short. In our own community, you know, we looked into a gap that was present, and we looked at it that there was a digital gap, and we created a vocational center for ICT. And I'll tell you that over the years, we've been able to educate over 108 youths in my own community, in the CDC that I am. And you'll see that these skills has helped those ones to transition into various industries that they want to do. So that's why I said that it is not up to the government alone. Individuals as intake to develop this generation to be profitable.
Okay, since we are still talking about entrepreneurship, let me ask you about how to catch them young. Yeah, we are still talking about education. Some parents are in the habit of not allowing their children to go towards entrepreneurship. And we need that in Africa these days. How do we preach it to parents, guardians, to allow their children or wards to go into the skill? This is the digital world now, digital age now. Yes. And the skill that we need these days are not the so hard skills, the so professional skills. We need soft skills that will grow the economy. So what is your word of advice to parents and guardians who still see entrepreneurship as something that is not good for their wards?
Thank you very much, Ma, for that question. And I think you've really opened my eyes to something else which we really need to start working on. And it's looking into how the children, the younger generation, can start thinking about entrepreneurship. And I think it's a good one because it's going to help the generation. So what I would tell the parents is this is, I have experienced so many things in my life. I've been able to talk to younger generation. Nobody prays to die young. But what about if a parent that has been planning for the child, the education of the child, suddenly dies? Do they understand that the child future can be tampered with that if they are not properly guided? And one of the things I want parents to look into is, how do they want their children to be seen in the future? You know, many a times we think that entrepreneurship is something that is so big. It starts from financial literacy as a course for a child. You know, and then looking into stories that are touched. You know, there's a popular story that if we read into Warren Buffett, he has started as young as 13. He has been selling some things. He has started gradually. And I tell people, entrepreneurship goes further than what we look into. Entrepreneurship isn't us to look, people that goes into shares, they are entrepreneurs also. They look into shares, they look into how they want to buy the necessary shares, buy it at a very, very low price and sell at a profitable price. And then what we need to understand is, if we are not solving a problem, definitely we cannot grow. Now we need to make sure that these children understand courses like problem solving. How do they do critical thinking? So I think that the parents just need to engage the children into looking. I do that a lot, even in my community. I engage these children. I engage them to look at what they want to do. I talk to them. Sometimes they look at it that what I'm saying is too much for them, but I let them understand that you need to start thinking about it now. Your parents, you know, I think the economy now has removed the middle class. We are now lower and higher and the high income. So we need to now look into how we are not saying that children should go into child labor. Because we need to be very careful about child labor, very, very careful about that. But letting them understand that they can use their hands to start building themselves, and it's going to open door for them. And that is why you see people, I encourage skills like web design for children. And that is why I say that if it is possible, instead of just giving a phone to a child, I would rather say that they should they should buy a laptop for a child. You know, many a times you say we want the child to use phone. We cannot monitor what they do on phone, but we can monitor what they do on the laptop. So we can be able to guide them into the proper courses that they can do. And there's so many online courses right now that parents can leverage on and not just waste data.
All right, so catching them young is a way forward to improving the entrepreneurship net in Africa. Definitely. Now let's go into some of the challenges now and talk about how to overcome it. And in some quarters they say the challenge of infrastructure is one thing that is bringing Africa down in making trades and making some money and bringing the economy to a sustainable point. How do we now bridge the gap of infrastructures that some people have identified, and what are the infrastructures we are talking about?
The first infrastructure, because I have been in that also challenge earlier, is electricity. And I've been fortunate to visit some Western countries. And I will say that now that is where I was talking about the green economy earlier on. And we'll see that solar has come to stay. Whether we like it or not, solar has come to stay. And then we'll see that some people has even made solar a point of income generating aspect for them. We've seen the aspect of solar bikes that uses battery bikes. We've seen even solar refrigerators. They do some particular solar for refrigerator, because there was a time my family and I, we went into frozen food business, and I will tell you that we ran at a loss, a very big loss, because it was those periods that there was no electricity, and that prompted us to look into what we can do. And that is why I encourage that whenever anybody is going into any business, we need to look into that. And let me tell you, logistics is one of the business that has come to stay. Whether we like it or not, logistics is a business, because when you produce something from one point to the other, you have to transport your product. And we understand that there is bad roads up and down right there, and that is when we call for youth involvement in policy making. What are youth saying? They are moving through these roads. Are they involved in policy making? Are they lending their voice for the government to know that, okay, this particular road is in use for a particular product? You know, there was a time the Ogun State government tried to look into rural roads, and they tried to make sure some rural roads are motorable. So these are some of the things that we just need to open the eyes of the government. And like I do say, sometimes I don't like to always focus on the government, because I come from the aspect of the private sector. What are the private sectors to also doing to solve all this problem? And one of the things private sector can do to solve this problem is looking into younger generations that are also under them. How do we want to sensitize them on particular things that they need to do to be able to build this infrastructure gap?
And create solutions.
Yes, solutions for them. And then when they create these solutions, we can look into all these Western worlds. How are they solving these problems? And then trying to make sure that we bring it, and we are very lucky in Africa. Most of our African region fall into the tropical regions, and then we have so abundant of sunlight. So this is one of the benefits that we can look into solving the electricity gap. And I know that once we solve electricity gap, it's going to solve many of the other problems that are available in the infrastructure gaps.
And someone also mentioned that mentorship is lacking.
Very important.
Is lacking in Africa. A lot of people know some skills. They are good in some skills, but bringing it down to younger generation is something that is lacking. Definitely. How do you see this?
Yes, I'm even happy you touched that. And in this world that we are, information is key. Information is power. Many people think that mentorship is just only about skills, but information. I tell people that online right now, there are so many programs that are running out there that are going to help the lives of the youth. But the youth don't have access to this information. Even letting them have access to this little information. To be very sincere, I've been a product of mentorship through the Chamber of Commerce. I've been guided through the Chamber of Commerce because I was looking into education when I was coming up, and then through the Chamber of Commerce, they brought in so many opportunities in education. That was when I became a TVET trainer, and then they've developed me. I would say that most of my 5 years experience in the educational aspect have been through the Chamber of Commerce, and I employ that the mentorship starts from the community. What are CDAs? What are they doing to mentor? Because they say bad children are available everywhere. Do they know that it starts from the community? What is the community itself doing to mentor these children, these younger generations? And they can start by doing mentorship programs. There are a lot of mentorship programs, and let me tell you the whole truth. Partnership is also one of the ways we can use to develop ourselves. There are organizations that are interested in partnering with these people, but they are just looking at the involvement, the readiness of those particular communities. And if we can look into that, we will see that mentorship is going to grow into 100% and develop the youth in the communities.
So most times funding and investment is not the real problem.
It's not. We have people that are willing. You know, like I said, we have a center in my community that we do ICT, and I'll tell you that it is not true. It is just manpower, you know, and most of the time, that is why when people say funding, we look into breaking down what they mean by funding. What are those things that they need? You will see people that you want to have a program now, somebody will volunteer that, let me come and capture the event for you, and then you see that the media has already been taken care of. So sometimes it is just identifying the right set of people that are going to go with you on this journey, and you'll be able to solve it.
Okay, now let's talk about policies. We can't talk about the entrepreneurs in Africa without talking about policies that guides some of the countries in Africa. Are they policies that are favorable for the growth of trade or economy in Africa, or do we need to do more when it comes to some policies, or all the policies, if we can say that, the policies that governs trade, investment, border transactions and all that? Do we need to improve on it, or you have identified something that is a bottleneck in the policy?
there is a lot of bottlenecks, definitely, because currently we just came back. I and some youths in the chamber movement just came back from a road trip. We went from Nigeria down to Benin Republic, to Togo, and then to Ghana, where we're trying to identify export products. And then one of the things we have seen that could help all these kind of things are the African Free Trade, Continental Free Trade Zone agreement, which has to do with us being able to interact with each other very well and to be able to sell. But one of the things that has really affected us in all those things is our currency. Our currency is a very, very big barrier for us. And to be very sincere, policies are not really favorable. A lot of policies are not really favorable for young entrepreneurs. And that is why I say that as young entrepreneurs, you have to look into what kind of businesses you want to go into, and then bring up your SWOT. In your SWOT, you'll be able to identify what kind of policies are there for you to be able to mitigate those kind of things that are necessary for you. So I would say that there is a lot of policies, and as these policies are, there is also some programs, some opportunities, like some of the youths do not know about this particular one. There is an organization called PEBEC. Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, and we don't maximize these opportunities, because I was opportune to attend a meeting with them through the Chamber of Commerce, and then what I was able to see that these people are ready to make sure that youth have ease of doing business. When you encounter maybe complexity in your business registration or in your businesses, they want you to reach out to them. They even have an online platform whereby you can go there, report them, and then they will solve this problem. But how many of us are maximizing all these things? So I think that research is one of the things that we need to be able to understand that there are policies that is affecting us, but yet there are some opportunities that are helping us mitigate these particular policies that is now going to help us transition our entrepreneurs into better entrepreneurs.
So let me deduce from what you have said now. That means a lot of people who have these innovative ideas are not in the net of ensuring that they are seen or they are heard in the areas that matters. Exactly. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
So how do they come into that net now? If there are a lot of centers, a lot of people ready to help Africa in growing the economy, and people who have these innovations are at one corner and they do not know where to go to, how do we now bring the two of them together and grow the economy?
Thank you very much, Ma, for that question. And I would say that I started that way also. I remembered after I finished my secondary school education, I didn't know the direction to go, because I was looking for a job, I couldn't find a job. And one of the aspects I first of all moved into was listening to motivational speeches. And then from there, I deduced some particular points. And that particular thing introduced me to this organizations, voluntary organizations, many of them out there. I don't want to call any names right now, but there are lots of organizations that if they go online, they will be able to find them. I belong to so many of them, and that's why I don't know if I'm permitted to mention names. There is organizations such as Yali Young African Leaders Initiative, and this organization, they bring up, they will create opportunities for you. Once you join those organizations, they create opportunities for you, not just looking into Nigeria itself, even international opportunities. We have organizations like JCI, Junior Chambers International, and we have the Chamber of Commerce also. And this Chamber of Commerce has the youth wing aspect. So what I tell people is, start from secondary school aspects. There is Red Cross in secondary school. There is Manowo. These organizations are not just there.
Networking.
Yes, it's for networking, like you said. So, and this is some of the things that built me. To be very sincere with you, they transitioned my thoughts. So when I need information, I have access to pool of information. And then one of the things that can also help them is, you know, there's no way I will not go back into our community, because I didn't understand the impact of community before. Now we have community groups, CDAs. We have community CDAs that open WhatsApp group. What information are they also dropping into those platforms for the parents to be able to deliver to their youths, so that they can understand that this opportunity is available? You know, I have a community of younger youths in my environment, and I do tell them, if you have an organization, if you have a need, let me know. I'm going to look for the right organizations that you can belong in, and then I network them into those organizations. And we have so many of them. And these organizations are voluntary. They are not asking you for anything. They just want you to be a part of them and grow yourself. And I tell people that it is an opportunity for them to also be a part of it, and they should not waste their opportunities. Volunteer in these organizations, and it will help them grow better.
Okay, since we are talking about market, money, and how to make some trades sustainable for yourself, have you looked at the limited market data that we operate on in Africa? A lot of data that we present out there, especially in Africa, are not enough. Sometimes they are not adequate, and sometimes they are totally wrong. And so the data that we present to the world are not something that can help us grow ourselves. How do we ensure that the data that Africans are providing for others to check them up are the ones that are real, that can sustain the economy of Africa?
Yes, if you want to get something, sometimes you have to do it yourself. And I tell people that when you want to market, it starts with you. How are you involving yourself with people beside you first? How are you involving yourself with your organizations that you belong to? Let's say, for instance, now I want to start, because if you look into even business plan itself, there is an aspect of it that talks about markets. So without market, you cannot sell your product. So what I tell people is sit down, look into what you want to do, go out there yourself. And the world has really helped us into the digital aspect. If you think that your product is not a visible product in your locality, you can go online. There are platforms that can create forms for you. Create those forms for yourself, post into platforms, even message people, create a broadcast list on your phone, send messages to people that you need their help to be able to understand these things. And I'm sure that when you start bit by bit like that, you know, there was a time that I was doing a training, and then I encountered a media person, and the person said that he himself had to go to the roadside every day at Kwansheke, and we'll be looking into people passing by and asking them questions. Definitely you may see people that will not want to answer you, but definitely you will still see some people that would answer you. And even at that, you are already marketing yourself. You're already letting them know that, okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, this is the market I'm penetrating into. And you'll be able to know, is this even the market? Is it right for this particular environment I am? You know, there are some markets that it is a futuristic market. It is not yet for this kind of market. And doing your own personal market research is going to help you identify all these things. So like I tell people, market research is very important. And I think one of the things, the skills that we need to learn is how to do market research. One of my employees recently, since last week, I've been giving her market research, and I realized that people do not want to go deeper. They only want to go in the face value. And if you want to do proper research, you have to go deeper. Go into each word. What are even my competitors doing in this aspect? And it's just about, like I said, critical thinking, decision-making skills, problem-solving skills. These are skills that are really needed for our younger generations to understand how to do researches better. And I think it would help them.
Okay, lastly on the segment, let's ask you for the future that you see for Africa when we talk about young entrepreneurs, middle-class entrepreneurs, and those who have stayed so long becoming entrepreneurs or traders in some case, as they call them. How do you see the future of entrepreneurship in Africa? Are we moving up the ladder, or do we need to do more?
We have, if you look into Africans right now, they are doing so well. We have solutions right now. If you look at our very own fintech solution, Money Point, is from somebody from Oyo State. And if you look into Paystack, Flutterwaves, these are solutions that Africans, Nigerians have brought about. So I would say that entrepreneurship in Africa, we are just starting. You know, like we said earlier, there is still opportunities in fintech. You know, many of us, if you look at market women right now, they already know what all this fintech is all about. And if we look at it, some of them have their mobile phones, and they can only transact through text messages, through all this USSD. Now, these are opportunities for people to look into. Now, people that do not have that mobile phone to operate, internet to operate, how can they access into all these things? Now, even agriculture, as we say, there is supposed to be a form of avenue for them to be able to see, okay, this is the current market of a particular product, and this does not have to do, you know, when we talk about e-commerce, e-commerce is something that we have not even maximized in Africa
at all.
Currently. It's still, I would say we are still trying to tap into it, and we have not successfully tapped into it. These are opportunities also for younger entrepreneurs. And then I would say one of the things that's even important is education, edutech. Currently, edutech is more than just saying that I want to train people in this basic education. Employers themselves are looking for opportunities to train their employees, but they are not seeing the opportunities. What are people looking into the educational technologies to be able to solve all these problems? You know, like I said, there is problems everywhere. It is only for you to tap into this kind of opportunities to be able to see. And I think that that is why we have incubation centers. How many of us are tapping into all these incubation centers and maximizing it?
All right, thank you so much, Ifeoluwa Adesanya, for coming on the program. We'll have allowed you to talk for 1 hour.
Thank you very much, ma.
Well, we have to give in the time for the second segment, which will start after this break. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma.